It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Hi there, MrJohn here, and today we're going to review the third installment of the Need for Speed franchise, Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit for the PlayStation 1 and PC, released on March 25, 1998 in NTSC regions and in April in the PAL regions on the same year. The PC version was released worldwide in September 23, 1998. The PS1 version was developed by EA Canada and the PC version was developed by EA Seattle. When I was younger, I didn't have the chance to play it, simply because at the time, I was playing the newer Need for Speed titles, like Underground and Most Wanted, which is actually my favorite Need for Speed game by the way. Then I mod chipped my PS1, and then I burned some discs just to play Need for Speed 3 and then Need for Speed High Stakes, and I was amazed by how great the game was when it was released on the console. But anyways, let's see if this game is still worth playing or is it a dumpster fire. So let's find out. Right from the get-go, this intro is freaking bonkers. I mean, damn, the effects, the music, and the amount of cars that the intro has is pretty ludicrous. Whoever made this intro deserves a gold medal. Pretty damn good. After that, there's the main menu, where you can pick your game mode, your track, your car, you know, the typical God stuff, you know. So, what about the gameplay? Well, for starters, Need for Speed 3 has 4 modes to choose from: Knockout, Single Race, Tournament, and of course its main feature, the Hot Pursuit mode. Knockout, which is self-explanatory, consists of each race having 2 laps, and if a player finishes last in the race, they get eliminated. In this game, 8 racers participate in a knockout race, which contains 7 circuits, and the last knockout race consists of a duel between the 2 finalists. Single race is... do I need to explain what it is? Okay. So single race mode is actually pretty customizable. You can either change the daylight of the tracks, the weather, the difficulty, and the number of opponents, making the mode pretty versatile at the time. It's like picking your own adventure. What a sight. Tournament consists of 8 races and each racer earns points based on their position, and the racer who gets the most points wins. And finally, the main presentation of the game, the Hot Pursuit. This mode involves a 1v1 battle along a single track. The race begins, and during the race, cops will appear to arrest you. Sometimes they can roadblock you. The cop AI can be brutal sometimes if you use a slow car, for example the Countach or the Corvette C5. Sometimes there is even a cop variant of the Diablo SV. Not only that, but they can also drop spike strips, so that they can deflate your tires and end the chase immediately and arrest you. Also, if you exceed the ticket limit, they will arrest you.
Don't move! Don't even breathe! You are under arrest!
This mode is actually pretty fun to play, and can be chaotic if you don't know what you're doing. Also, it should be worth mentioning that Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz cars are bizarrely not allowed in the Hot Pursuit mode. Probably because the car makers didn't want their precious cars to be arrested, but that's my take I guess. Anyways, let's talk about the car roster, shall we? Need for Speed 3 has 8 cars to choose from, and they're not pushovers by any means. We do have Ferraris, the 355 F1 and the 550 Maranello, the iconic Chevrolet Corvette C6, the Jaguar XJR15, the devilish CLK GTR, the Edtal design, which is a manufacturer that I've never heard about it until now, is an Italian car maker who made collaborations with BMW and Lamborghini and with Volkswagen as well. In this game, we have the Italo designed Nazca C2, and last but not least, we have the almighty Lamborghini, which in this game has the Countach and the iconic Diablo SV. The cars are pretty distinct when it comes to performance. Some cars handle better than others are much faster like the Diablo SV and the CLK GTR. In the PC version, there are more cars. For example, the Lister Storm, you know, that car that only appears in the Gran Turismo games as far as I know, and also there's Holden, Aston Martin DB7, Ford Falcon, and another manufacturer that I didn't know until now, the Spectre Supersport, which is a defunct British car maker who built only one car, the R42. So the only way to ride an R42 is playing the PC version of Need for Speed 3. You can also compare two cars to see which one has better handling or which one has better top speed and so on. So that's pretty cool, I guess. The showcase option allows you to check the stats of the car, the history, and some pictures of the car, the insides, you name it. How cool is that? It's what I would like to call a great car documentation because they explain how they were made and etc. You didn't need a car magazine for those, and this option was pretty neat for the time.
The Lamborghini Diablo was developed to replace the awesome Countach, and it got the job done superbly. Sleek, ground-hugging styling incorporates the unique upward swinging doors made famous by the Countach. Diablo bodywork is constructed from steel tubing, aluminum alloy, and carbon fiber to create a rigid, lightweight structure, which contributes towards the car's startling performance. Located amidships is Lamborghini's superb 5.7-liter V12 engine.
The game has 14 tracks, 4 that are already unlocked from the beginning, and other half can be unlocked through the tournament mode. 1 that is unlockable in the knockout mode, and 5 can be only accessible through cheat codes. I gotta say that the track design in Need for Speed 3 is pretty good. The environments are pretty realistic and there's so much variety. For example, there's a snowy track with lots of tight corners, a near futuristic Atlantic circuit with an underwater tunnel, and a rocky mountain track with the tunnel inside it. Love it! And also, the 5 bonus tracks that are exclusive to the PlayStation version are pretty bonkers. For instance, there's one track named The Room.
Oh, hi Mark.
No, not that one. This one. This track takes place in a child's playroom. This is pretty cool. What any racing game does have that kind of track? Oh, never mind. Test Drive 5 has that as well. Moving on. It's worth mentioning that you can also race these tracks in reverse or mirrored, which increases the replay value in this game. The controls in Need for Speed 3 are great and solid, pretty responsive, and while it isn't as realistic as say Gran Turismo 1, it doesn't need to be, for the most part. And Need for Speed 3 has 2 driving styles you could choose, either arcade or simulation. Simulation is pretty much what you would expect. It makes the physics much more realistic, such as making your car prone to oversteer, making power slide nearly impossible, whereas the arcade mode is self-explanatory. In this mode, you have that press, brake, handbrake to drift style, just like in games like Burnout 2 and Revenge. It's actually pretty fun, and it's satisfying as hell, as doing this feels like I'm playing an initial D arcade game, but with European exotic cars instead of Japanese cars.
Deja Vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, it's so hard when I try to be me. Whoa.
When it comes to unlockables, if you beat the tournament on easy, you will unlock the Jaguar XJR15, and if you beat the tournament on hard mode, you'll unlock the CLK GTR. When you complete knockout mode on easy mode, you'll unlock the Empire City, whereas on the harder difficulty, you'll unlock the El Nino.
Hello, my name's Nino.
Gee, I wish. This car is one hell of a beast though. It's the most overpowered car in the game, as its top speed is over 220 miles per hour, and it's pretty fun to ride. As for difficulty, Need for Speed 3 is not that hard, since you can brute force the entire game with the Diablo SV, which is a pretty fast car, or even a 550 Maranello. Other cars such as the Countach or the Corvette can struggle during the tournament mode on the harder difficulty, since the AI can be pretty brutal at times, but other than that, the game is not that hard. In terms of graphics, Need for Speed 3 graphics are for the most part pretty decent. Sure, it's not as realistic as say Gran Turismo's graphics, but it does the job done in its own merits. The car models are decent for the PS1 era. The shadows, the lighting effects are pretty well made, as well as the weather effects such as raining and snowing. However, there's one flaw to the graphics on Need for Speed 3, at least for me, and that is the frame rate. It's below average for the most part nowadays. Granted, it can get to 30 FPS, but rarely. However, thanks to the power of emulation, you know, the place where retro purists tend to stay away because it's not accurate, we have the ability to overclock the PS1 CPU speed so that we can play the game at 60 FPS. I'll show you the difference. As you can see, the difference is night and day, and this is a game changer since it now feels so much smoother than ever before. You see kids, it just goes to show that emulation is better than the original consoles. Most of the soundtrack of Need for Speed 3 was composed by Rom DiPrisco, who also composed the soundtrack of Guacamelee, Unreal Tournament 2003, SSX Tricky, and Spy Hunter 2. The soundtrack consists of 80s rock and some techno stuff. It's actually pretty good to hear. Here, have a listen. The sound effects are, for the most part, good. While the engine sound effects are much to be desired, I mean Rage Racer, the game that I reviewed previously, had better engine sounds. But the other sound effects are top notch, from the sound of squealing tires to the car crashing into a wall. Not to mention there's even background noises such as cows mooing the first track of the game, Hometown. Hell, there's even different background noises when you race at night, which adds lots of variety. There's also the cops' voices, and they're not too shabby either. There's a lot of variety in the voices when it comes to the cops, which adds a lot of depth to the sound department.
This is a warning. This is your first warning. This is your second warning. Drive with caution. Slow down and keep to the speed limit. Speeding is dangerous. Don't push your luck. Slow down. Busted. You are busted. Who's the tough guy now? Get a bus pass, Pally. Oh, this is a real shame. Mighty nice car. Don't risk losing it for good. You blew it, buddy.
Overall, the sound department is, for the most part, good in its own right. At the end of the day, Need for Speed 3 is an amazing game on its own. It's a good classic game for the PlayStation 1 that anybody should give it a try. Its gameplay is pretty good, the presentation and its graphics are top notch, although the frame rate is below average nowadays. But thanks to emulation, this could be fixed, and the sound for the most part is good, although the engine sounds are much to be desired. Nevertheless, the pros outweigh the cons. Need for Speed 3 may not be the perfect game, given the next games of the franchise like Ice Stakes and Hot Pursuit 2 are much better, but it made Need for Speed fans very happy at the time when the game was released, and it shows. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked this review, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. This is MrJohn Reviews signing out, peace out, have a good time, and I'll see you guys next time.